Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamika Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today we're doing a full July budget overview. So this is all about really showing you the steps and process on how to close out your budget. Close out your budget, what does that even mean? So I like to say it's very important not to blindly follow a budget. You spend so much time and energy writing out your budget, tracking your spending. Don't let it go to waste. So this is about analyzing, and it's all about tracking your spending and knowing what that is telling you. It's about extracting that helpful information where you can use it to tweak and perfect your budget in the future. So let's get started. So for tracking my spending, this is what it looks like. All of this craziness. I use the highlighter method. I am a manual tracker, which means that I write down where every dollar is spent throughout the month. I then categorize all of my spending into colors or categories. You cannot create a realistic budget and be successful with that budget if you are not budgeting based on realistic spending. A budget is not about writing down what you want to spend. It's about writing down what you're realistically spending for your budget categories and those limits, and then tweaking and perfecting to get down to what you would like to spend. So for me, this is what it looks like. I actually, when I get done filling out an expense tracker, I add all of the totals up here at the top. That way, when it comes to closing out my budget, it makes it a lot faster at the end of the month. Now, a lot of people say to me, this looks like too much work. It's too much for me. I can actually close out my budget in about 10 minutes. Now, of course, anything that is worth it is going to take time and it's going to take work. And what I like to ask is, how bad do you want it? This is such a crucial step in your budgeting journey and process that it just cannot be overlooked or skipped. So after you fill out your expense trackers, you track your spending, I use 3 really important worksheets to close out my budget, and they're called Where Did My Money Go worksheets. First is the monthly budget category breakdown. This is where I figure out my total monthly income for the month and what I spent my money on. So your total monthly income, this is where it gets kind of confusing because I track my spending. If you look at my July calendar, I track from the first of the month to the last day of the month. It's really easy for me because I get paid on the first. But it's also important to note that maybe you get paid twice a month and you're getting paid, say, on the 5th and the 20th, but you would like to track your spending from the first to the last day of the month. You need to roll over any income or money that is left in your checking account or cash envelopes into the new month if it has not been spent. That is its purpose. You're using it to pay bills and expenses in the new month, so you need to roll it over. What that looks like is on your expense tracker, on July 1st, in my checking account, I had $922.52 just sitting in my checking account because I needed to use some of that money to pay for some of the earlier bills in July. I have 2 expense trackers, one for checking account and one for my cash spending. As you can see, my starting balance for July for cash was 0 because I didn't roll over any cash from the previous month into July. So on my Where Did My Money Go worksheet, you have that starting balance. For me, it was $923. Monthly or incoming income. Incoming income is not just your earned income. It is not just your paycheck. It is also any savings that you used. Did you use any gift cards that you received in that month? That is income. You are spending that money, which means you need income to offset those expenses. So my paycheck was $4,232, perfectly normal. My savings that I use, now this is from sinking fund savings and vacation savings. That equaled $2,119. My starting balance plus my incoming income gave me a total monthly income of $7,200. $7,274. I get the reaction all the time like, oh my gosh, that is so high. But it's imperative that you know and realize and understand that that is not just paycheck income. It's everything that I just listed out. So for that $7,274, where the heck did it go? It's important to know, where are your dollars going? Awareness is the first step. So I spent it on food, insurance, miscellaneous, car, fun, utilities, little Jamesy, beauty, house, savings. I had some holiday spending in there, as well as I rolled money over, and I had leftover money from July that I rolled into August. That has to be included in your budget categories. That starting balance for August should be included in your budget categories because that's its plan and purpose. You're rolling it over into the new month to pay for those beginning month bills. So I was off by about $17, and what I mean by that is my monthly spending equaled $7,257, and my monthly income was $7,274. So not off by much. Now, if you're closing out your budget and your numbers are not matching and you're getting frustrated, move on. It's not worth the frustration of trying to figure it out, especially if it's a low amount. So if you see what's in red, I overspent from my budget. Now, I am a paycheck budgeter, but I also assign monthly budget to my spending. What I mean by that, in that month, that 30 or 31 day period or whatever it may be, I give myself a limit. So for food, it's $400. I spent $473. I was $73 over budget. Where did that $73 get used from? If I'm over budget, where am I getting it from? I either pull it from another cash envelope where I didn't utilize all of the cash, or I took it from my checking account cushion. All of the green is where I was under budget for my monthly budget totals. So my biggest one, I was able to save 36% of my income went towards savings. I saved $2,606 in the month of July. This is a great worksheet because it brings awareness to the picture. I have a lot of readers who say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I spent $150 on coffee for the month. So this is all about awareness. Where is your money going? The second worksheet is your monthly debt and savings breakdown. I don't have debt, but you would fill it out the same way as I'm doing the savings. I had a total monthly income of $7,274. Out of that income, I saved $2,606. That gave me means I saved 36% of my income. This is crucial because this makes sure that your spending is aligning with your financial goals. And the same thing would go with debt. So for me, I'm saving for many different things, but out of those savings, there are things that are more important than the other. I want to make sure that that spending is going towards, most of that income is going towards my priority goal. So out of the $2,606 I saved, 85% of that went towards my house savings. 8% went towards my sinking funds and preparing for the future. 4% went towards my son's college fund. It's funny because that's exactly the order of priority for my savings goals. Number one is my house savings. Number two priority is preparing myself for the future so I don't feel pressured to use a credit card. Then the third priority I have is saving for my child's future, and my spending is exactly that. The next worksheet is my monthly spending comparison. This is how did my spending this month compare to last month, and this is great if you are setting yourself up for either tweaking, or if you're setting a goal for yourself for your spending. Maybe you want to decrease your food budget. Maybe you said, well, I really feel like I can decrease my food budget by $50. Did it really happen compared to last month? If it's in red, I spent more in July than I did in June. If it's green, I spent less in July than I did in June. Now, I also had a monthly income change. In July, compared to the previous month, my income decreased by $2,047. You might be asking, well, why did it decrease so much? Because last month, in June, I used a ton of vacation savings because I was on vacation for a big period in June, and I ended up using a ton of savings. So this month, not so much. income is increasing or decreasing, how are you compensating for those changes in your spending? This is a great area and great worksheet to tell you that. I spent $80 more on food in July than I did in June. June, I only spent $393. I did really push myself in the month of July to decrease my beauty expenses. I spent $306 in June. I got that down to about $279 in July. And in fact, I think I'm gonna even push myself to save a little bit more money in that area. And then of course you have your starting balances. This is that worksheet that's going to let you know if you're reaching those financial goals that you're setting for yourself. So after I fill out my where did my money go worksheet, there are a couple of other different visuals that I like to track and see on my financial journey. Let me show you that. So I like to keep a visual tracker for my house savings goal. Each line and each one of these little triangles represents $4,000. I have a $400,000 goal for my house savings, and I currently have about $72,000 saved for that goal. This is wonderful because I'm a visual person. It's what keeps me motivated. So coloring in a line every single time I save $4,000 is huge for me, but it's also great because there are, especially with the huge goal, there are times where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not making any progress. But then you look back at this tracker and you see all the progress that you're making. So small steps are still steps in the right direction, and we may not notice it in the now, but it's happening in front of our faces. We just don't see it, and that's what these visual trackers are for. So the next thing that I like to track are my sinking funds. Now, as you guys know, I'm saving for some sinking funds in 2020, some holidays and events in the new year 2020, but I'm also hit another, let me find it, back to school. Back to school sinking funds. I hit that goal of $250. I am now prepared with cash to get everything my son needs for the new school year, and I'll actually be spending that towards probably the end of August for his back to school supplies and some clothing. He needs some new socks. That's our mission. So I like to know at all times, where am I at with all of my sinking funds? And this is the visual tracker that I use. I also have a yearly spending overview. Tracking your budget and seeing your budget month to month is great, but I like to notice yearly trends. I like to know what is happening with my income across the entire year. So here's January through July and all of the different categories for my budget that I'm spending money on. What's happening to my food budget? Is it increasing throughout the year? Is it decreasing? Are there certain months out of the year where I'm noticing I'm spending more on food? Is it the summer months because the kiddos are home? Maybe that tells me in the future I need to budget my food limit a little bit differently during those months where it's high versus low. It's just great to see those yearly trends. I also track the total of my expenses as well as if I am rolling over a balance into the new month. So that's my yearly spending overview. My yearly balance overview is for tracking things like my savings balance, my debt balance, my retirement balance, my net worth. There are certain things in your financial plan where you should be noticing a trend, whether it decrease or increase. Now, my savings balance, obviously you want to increase assets as you decrease debts. So I'm increasing. I started with $14,000 in January. Now my savings balances are like my vacation funds, my sinking funds. It's also in fact, I have it here. It's my checking account. It's Disneyland, where I'm taking my son to Disneyland in February. It's also his college savings plan. So those are my savings balances. I have no debt, so I have that at zero. Retirement balance. You obviously want this one to be increasing. So $34,000 in January, $45,000 in July. It is definitely increasing, and you also want your net worth to increase over time. What you owe versus what you own. And if you take your total assets minus your total liabilities, that's going to give you your overview of your financial health at a specific period in time. So I like to notice and see two of these things in a visual way: my savings balance and my net worth. You want to see these increase, this line increase over time, and I like watching mine throughout the year. Now, you can see there are times where it's decreased. My savings balance has always increased because I haven't taken a lot out of savings, but there are times where my net worth has definitely decreased over time. So if you were to do a line through these, it's a slow, steady increase in that net worth, and that's what I really like to watch throughout the year. So that is my full budget recap for July. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe. Woo! Cue the fans! Cue the fan!